your weekly guide to better living, smarter choices, and trusted answers. From everyday wellness to urgent health issues, we've got you covered. Health Check, only on Voice of the People television, where your health has a voice.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as they hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before.
Behind every broken desk lies a broken promise. Education shapes the nations. But who is asking the right questions? Introducing Edu Dialogue, the show that goes beyond the surface, exposes the cracks, the corruption, and the silence in Nigeria's education system. Edu Dialogue, Saturdays, 3 p.m., only on VOP TV. We break the biggest stories, from missing funds to policy failures. We ask the tough questions and demand real answers. Edu Dialogue, this Saturday, 3 p.m. on Voice of the People television.
Hello there, my name is Damilola Ogunsi, also known as the Goldfish.
Hi, my name is Chiki Bright Emmanuel. I'm an actor and a filmmaker.
Hello peeps, my name is Yomi E. Adejimo.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul Utomi.
Hi everyone, my name is Stacey Benjamin and this is Voice of the People TV.
I need you to keep it locked to VOP TV. See, are you looking for good entertainment? You want to get good movies, good music, politics, talk shows, sports and entertainment. You really want a channel that gives you everything you need without you having to run around. VOP is where you are. That's Voice of the People.
If you're not listening to this, you're not one of us. And you deserve to be killed. Scrap chat. Don't be killed, but watch it. Or I'll find you. And I want you. And you are locked on VOP TV. Don't go nowhere. This is where the juice is. This is where all you need for entertainment, politics, movies, and whatnot.
And keep watching VOP TV.
So keep it locked because I'm locked already, man, and it's money back guarantee. So you're gonna have a good time because I do.
And please keep watching VOP TV.
I won't want to actually. I beg you, subscribe, watch it. If not, whatever you see. You better not touch that guy because VOP is the plot.
Welcome to the locker room, the home of football talk that matters. I am Jerry Arpelon. Join us every weekday, Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. Nigerian time, as we share the hot takes and hot debates in the exciting world of football. And joining me are the usual suspects, Ikechukwu and Mayowa, as we break down all the hot takes and everything that's happening in the football. Don't just watch football, live it with us. Catch us on the locker room and Voice of the People television at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. And like I always say, if not going to the talk, please discuss.
And it's Hakim Ziyech, who puts the...
In a world where power shifts with every headlines, news breaks and events happens, we bring you unbiased and explicit information on politics, economy and state of the nation. We break down the chaos
Facts, not fluff. Truth, not spin. We discuss not just politics, but a glimpse into the future. Voice of the People Television. Now you have more than a voice.
Well, hello and welcome to the African News on Voice of the People Television. I am David Edwin. Before we begin the news, we would urge you to kindly visit our website, www.vop.ng, for fresh and trending news stories. We begin the African news from South Africa, where South Africa has accused the United States of using Kenyan nationals who did not have work permits at a facility processing application by white South Africans for refugee status. A statement from South Africa's Department of Home Affairs disclosed that 7 Kenyans were arrested after intelligence reports revealed that people had recently entered South Africa on tourist visas and had illegally taken up work at the center. While the U.S. is trying to reduce overall levels of migration, it says that members of South Africa's white Afrikaners community can get asylum because they face persecution, a claim the South African government strongly rejects. South Africa says the Kenyan nationals arrested in Tuesday's raid will now be deported and will be banned from entering the country for 5 years. In another development, reports say that South African authorities are negotiating with Russia to secure the return of 17 citizens who were allegedly deceived into joining the Russian military by the daughter of former President Jacob Zuma, Duduzile Zuma Sambudla. Alongside 2 citizens from Botswana, the men were allegedly recruited in July under the false promises of either undergoing training as bodyguards for Zuma's political party, Umkhonto weSizwe, or participating in a personal development program. However, they were instead drawn into the Russian armed forces and sent to the front lines. Spokesperson for President Cyril Ramaphosa, Vincent Mangwea, described the situation as highly sensitive, explaining to newsmen that the young men were in grave danger. He added that the South African authorities were working with authorities in both Russia and Ukraine to find ways to bring them home safely. According to Mangwea, the discussions are focused mainly on Russian officials as the men appear to have been absorbed into Russian military operations. And from South Africa, we'll go straight to Sudan, where a rebel leader in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, Corneille Nangaa, says his fighters will withdraw from the key city of Uvira as a trust-building measure after the request of the United States. Nangaa's statement came days after the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the capture of Uvira by rebel forces violated a peace deal, and that the U.S. would take actions to ensure that promises made to the President Donald Trump are kept. The U.S. accuses Rwanda of backing the rebels. On its part, though Rwanda denies the allegation, its president, Paul Kagame, signed a peace accord on December the 4th with the DRC counterpart, Felix Tshisekedi, at a ceremony hosted by Trump in Washington. However, what Trump had called a historic peace deal for DR Congo shattered after rebels seized Uvira, with Nanga, the coordinator of the rebel alliance Fleuve Congo, that includes the Rwandan-backed M23 rebels. Meanwhile, Burundian Foreign Minister Edward Bizimana has dismissed an announcement by the M23 rebel group of agreeing to withdraw forces from Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo's recently captured city of Uvira, saying it was a ploy to ease international pressure. These remarks came hours after the Alliance Fleuve Congo, a rebel alliance in Eastern Congo, which includes M23 rebels, said it decided to withdraw from Uvira as demanded by the United States. In a post on X, Bizimana described the withdrawal announcement as another sheer lie designed to mislead international opinion. The U.S., President Donald Trump, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and all peace-loving people. According to him, Rwandan forces and the alliance were yet to withdraw from Uvira, while everything indicates that Rwanda is simply seeking to ease international pressure. Still on the activities of the rebel paramilitary rapid support forces, local media said nearly 2,000 civilians have been displaced from the western city of Higlig in West Kordofan after an audacious 9-day displacement journey following the city's takeover by the Rapid Support Forces, that's the RSF. According to the governor of the White Nile state, Qamar Mohammed, 1,850 displaced persons have arrived in the city of Kosti from West Kordofan. Also, White Nile Humanitarian Aid Commissioner Lamia Abdullah said that national organizations, civil society groups, and local benefactors have begun providing food assistance, shelter, and medical services to the displaced civilians. The North, West, and South Kordofan states have seen weeks of fierce fighting between the army and the RSF, prompting tens of thousands of people to flee. And from Sudan, we'll go to South Sudan, where the South Sudanese government said it's grounded 4 aircraft registered under the United Nations mission on Monday over an alleged use in spying and smuggling. South Sudan's Foreign Minister, Monday Kumba, said a government committee was examining the aircraft after intelligence reports raised security concerns, adding that 2 were found with advanced surveillance and intelligence recording systems. However, UN mission spokeswoman Priyanka Chaudhary said all air assets are used solely in support of the mission's mandate to help protect civilians and support lasting peace in South Sudan. She explained that this UN mission has been talking with South Sudan's government for a while to resolve this issue as the mission works transparently with it on UN operations. Over 70% of South Sudan's 11 million people rely on humanitarian assistance for food, healthcare, and other basics, according to the UN, which mandates includes helping to deliver aid. Moving on, report says that Kenyan police repelled and protected all 10 workers in an overnight attack by Al-Shabaab militants on the compound housing Chinese road workers in the northeastern border town of Elwak. The raid began at around 1 a.m. local time on Monday when heavily armed militants stormed the guarded compound near Elwak police station, damaging vehicles and other properties before withdrawing after an extended gunfight. The attackers reportedly smashed through the compound's main gate
and perimeter fence, damaging the police vehicle and several construction trucks. Before, Border Patrol officers were deployed to reinforce guards and secure the workers. The militants are thought to have traveled into Elwak in Mandera County from Burache, using the informal crossing points along the Kenyan-Somali border. Kenya has faced repeated al-Shabaab terror attacks since it deployed troops in Somalia in 2011 under the African Union Mission, now the African Union Transition Mission in Somalia. Moving on, there are reports that say that 30 persons, most of them soldiers, have been jailed in Benin Republic in connection with a failed coup attempt earlier this month. The soldiers took over state television on December the 7th and announced that the government had been dissolved. However, their takeover bid was thwarted by loyalists in the military, backed by airstrikes and military assistance from Nigeria and other West African allies, with France also providing logistical support. The accused were jailed on Tuesday following a pre-trial hearing, charged with treason, murder, and endangering state security. Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tigri, who reportedly led the coup, is still on the run. Beninese officials claim that he fled to Lomé, the capital of Togo. Cotonou has reportedly asked that Togo extradite him and other fugitive soldiers. Meanwhile, perpetrators for the general elections in the Central African Republic, scheduled for December 28, 2025, have reached a key milestone with the arrival of sensitive electoral materials in the capital, Bangui. Totaling 96 tons of electoral materials, it includes ballot papers, vote tally forms, and other official election documents. They were officially handed over to the President of the National Elections Authority, Matthias Muruba, by the Deputy Special Representative of the UN Secretary General and Humanitarian Coordinator, Mohammed Ayoya. Speaking at the handing over ceremony, Ayoya highlighted the combined efforts of the CAR government and the international community in making the operation possible. According to him, it was the result of very significant efforts by the CAR government, particularly in financing the material, and also reflects the efforts of the entire international community, which has been supporting the government in recent months to make this moment a reality. Moving on, the African Development Bank, that's the AFDB, says it has raised $11 billion for its African Development Fund, which lends money to low-income countries on favorable terms. The AFDB, which is Africa's biggest development lender, announced this after a two-day donor pledging conference in London, which was overshadowed by a waning United States engagement. The amount surpasses the previous replenishment round figure, but fell short of its initial target. Officials at the AFDB had initially aimed to raise $25 billion for the AFDB, which is replenished every 3 years after raising $8.9 billion in 2022. Commending the outcome of the donor pledging conference, AFDB President C.D. Tar noted that development partners choose ambition over retrenchment and investment over inertia in one of the most difficult global environments for development finance. Meanwhile, the AFDB noted that some 19 African nations, including Kenya, Zambia, and Cote d'Ivoire, made their first ever contribution to the fund, with African member states of the bank pledging $182.7 million. You're still watching the African News right here on Voice of the People Television. We'll go straight to the analysis segment of the news. And joining us now to make sense of these stories and more is Barrister Darlington Agumo. Barrister Darlington is a legal practitioner right here in Nigeria and also a public and political affairs commentator and analyst. Barrister, a very good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, David. How are you?
I'm fine, very well, thank you. How are you doing as well, Barrister?
I'm okay.
Okay, let's get to this almost immediately. Barrister, interestingly, the African Development Bank is saying that it has raised about $11 billion for its African Development Fund, which again lends money to low-income countries on favorable terms. This is surpassing last 3 years' record of about $8.7 billion. Some have said that this replenished fund clearly would be pushed into judicious use. But from the perspective of some African critics, there's been a conversation of how much the AFDB lends money and then the repayment plan have been difficult for other countries to repay. What's your position with this, Pastor?
If the bank want to succeed, if the bank want to make an impact, if the bank truly want to develop Africa, they should start giving African leaders money.
How do you mean by that?
Rather, those infrastructures that each country need, the bank should go directly and build it. That is the only way that fund can make an impact in the life of the ordinary people of Africa. If they hand over that money as usual, forget it. Forget it. Because these African leaders, they are not about the people, they are about themselves.
Now, Barrister, there is that conversation about the African leaders, and there is also that conversation about some other countries that are heavily indebted, who, again, were part of the donors of this particular period of the AFDB's $11 billion. Now, countries like Zambia and Kenya are now donating, of the 19 African countries that donated to these $11 billion that the AFDB has. Should there be concerns about the fact that these countries, and I'm talking about both Zambia and Kenya, donating to the funding of the AFDB?
They are trying to help themselves. The money is for Africa, for Africans. So why wouldn't you donate?
Does that mark the true African ownership of that development?
Of course, of course. Besides, whenever these countries come for loan, they'll be given a preference or priority because of this gesture. You think they are doing it for nothing? No. They are doing it so that they will be in the good book of that bank. Whatever they have donated, they are going to take it back tenfold in loans and all that. That is the way it works.
But some have said, Barrister, that the desperate attempt by these poor nations, and I'm talking about both Zambia and Kenya, by their indebtedness as well, it's more like to patch in a hole left by donors, rich donors, who clearly do not even ask for much money from the AFDB. Is that what's happening here?
I don't think so. You know, each country have their need and peculiarities.
Right.
Good. It is those things that the Bank of Africa is coming to, attend to. What this country need may be different from what the other country need. And so, no matter how big the problem may be, if you start from somewhere, before you know it, you will solve it. But don't give them money again. Don't give African leaders money. Rather, ask them to list their priority areas for the loan they are asking for. Then you go there and do it. Yes, that is what I think should happen here. If not, over the years, African leaders have been borrowing money, both internally and externally.
Right.
Yet no impact. You can't see what they borrowed the money for. Left to me, donor nations should start asking each country, what do you need? What do you actually need this money for? We will help you do it. Yes, that's the only way.
I like the fact that you also brought the fact that the continent has a major infrastructural decay. But looking at the fact that this 23% jump in price from the last round in 2022, yet the country, I beg your pardon, the continent is still infrastructurally decaying. And of course, that also includes the climate gap running into trillions. Should we want to really develop Africa, we would be looking at trillions of dollars. Should the AFDB celebrate 23% increase from what they gathered in 2023, and they compared to 2022, to what they're gathering in 2025? From 8 to 11 billion dollars.
It is a credit to their creativity. It is a credit to their management wizardry. It is a credit to their financial wizardry. It is a credit to their what? Creative approach to management. Because it is only somebody who knows what he's doing or what she's doing in office that can do this. That's the truth. So, it is worthy of celebration. But what are they going to do with the money, David? They should not hand this money over to African leaders because they too will be coming for that money. They will not be, making requests or demand for that money. And before you know it, the money will be depleted and you won't see the impact. That is what I'm saying here.
It's really interesting, Barrister, that you have consistently been vocal about the fact that this money should not be given to African leaders.
Yeah, they have given them enough.
But how do you think that level of impact will be made without these leaders giving the go-ahead for such infrastructural projects to be run in their country?
Is it not for infrastructure? The money they said is for infrastructural development in Africa. And so, if you don't list those things that you want them to do for you, then it means you will not access the funds. That's the truth. It means you will not access the funds. That is the condition precedent for you to draw that money. Yes, allow the bank to do the infrastructural project for you. We are tired of borrowing money and not seeing the impact. We are tired of it.
All right, then. Barrister, let's jump to another conversation. Interestingly, come December the 28th, the Central African Republic is going to the polls. And as we speak, 96 tons of ballot papers and forms have landed Bangui, the capital of CAR. And a lot have been, been ongoing and several conversations going on, particularly on that election. But the questions about the fact that the president who rewrote the rules, just like some of the presidents in Africa, is seeking a third term, is still the main beneficiary of this election. Are we flying a democracy, or we're flying a paperwork to a rubber stamp election? December the 28th?
There is one disease that has caught up with African leaders of late.
Which is?
A very serious disease, cystitism. Cystitism, it has caught African leaders like a bug. Every one of them wants to remain in office forever. Every one of them. You can see it is spreading like wildfire. Then tomorrow, AU will come and tell us, there should be no coup in Africa. We don't want coup in Africa. How can that happen? Tell me how. You came in as a civilian president and you don't want to leave office. What does that tell you? Every one of them is like a disease, the recent disease that caught up with African leaders.
Now, Barrister, what can one attribute to these kind of acts where a sitting president will find a way to tweak the constitution to want to seek a third term, even a fourth term in office?
You know, when the first person did it and succeeded, people like Paul Biya, Yoweri Museveni, and who else, some other person in Africa. When the other leaders saw it, they said, this thing is possible now. Why can't I try it? That is where the beginning of bad manners. They saw some African leaders doing it and succeeding.
Shouldn't we also blame the electorate for being docile and not talking at the time when that was tried the first time?
Look, the electorate in Africa, they are trying their best. They will try and do the voting, but their votes don't count. Is that not true? Like in Cameroon, did they need vote to count? No vote to counted. So you can't blame the electorate.
I'm even talking, Barrister, I'm even talking on the path of tweaking the constitution to having the sitting president go back into the polls again for the third time after serving his second tenure, according to the constitution before time.
Because they believe that, yes, look, whenever something is a law, you know, people will be afraid of going against it in any country. They will say you are breaking the law, you are doing this, you know?
Right.
That's why they, first of all, use the National Assembly to achieve their evil aim. And so when this National Assembly have done their deed, most times people don't even know. Are you aware? Most times the people of that country, they may not even know what has transpired until maybe a later. By the time they make it public, it will have become too late for anybody to react. That's what they do it clandestinely. Only a people will know what they are doing in that National Assembly. And so you can't blame the people for that. You can't. You can't. But they believe that, okay, no matter how much you want to remain, we are going to deal with you at the polls. And then at the polls, they will vote with their feet. Only for the same man to, you know, do what he like a glitch. Then their votes will turn into a glitch, and the man will remain in office. And so when the military haven't seen all these things and say, look, this nonsense should stop, you will come and blame the military, Abi? Yes, if the civilians cannot do it, the military will do it.
All right then, but Barrister, there are concerns about the fact that the UN have praised as very significant the financial efforts by the government of CAR on the part of procuring ballot papers for the next election, even though they've declared bankruptcy. I'm talking about the government of CAR. Now, the UN statement clearly saying it's very significant and, of course, praising that effort. Isn't that something to question when the country, clearly, the people are also hungry and are seeking for better life in the CAR?
Whenever you hear foreign powers praising a government in Africa, go and check. There is nothing they are looking for. Yes, there is something they want to get from them. They are not praising them for nothing. That is a fact. With CAR, what is their GDP? What is their GDP? And so when they are saying that financially, whatever, it is a pure lie. They want to give them soft landing so that the business they are doing together will continue to thrive. Nothing else. Nothing else.
Now, Barrister, what's the implication of not moving the economy forward? And of course, just like you mentioned, I'm also trying to get the GDP of the CAR in a couple of seconds after now. What's the implication of not moving the economy forward, but rather plunging billions and millions of dollars into getting ballot papers for the next election, which again, you seem to be like the sole primary candidate for that election?
If you check, the ballot papers were not printed in the CAR.
Right.
Good. They were printed abroad, apparently in America. And so, what do you expect with the with the country that benefited from that largesse? And they did it deliberately so that America will approve of what they are doing in CAR. Is that not the look? These people think that they are clever. They are not. Seriously. Because this particular contract were outsourced to foreign powers. They will now give them a nod. They say, yeah, you are a good boy. You are doing very well. Yes. At the end of the day, nothing will come out of it. Look at a country that is so impoverished. So impoverished. They are telling them that they are doing well in their financial whatever.
Well, Barrister, concerns again have been raised about the fact that the president, after tweaking the constitution to wanting to get the third term in office, that has become a major concern in the country. What should the people be expecting come December 28th when they go to the polls?
The election should be free and fair so that the people will not choose their leader. the election should be free and fair so that the military will not come calling. So he has done the first one and he has succeeded by changing the constitution. Now the election proper should be free and fair, or else they should go and ask this other country.
Oh, well, we'll keep our eyes on that particular conversation as they progress, because truly, when elections come and go, the aftermath post-election seem to be a major situation in countries across Africa. Let's jump to another conversation before we let Barrister out of the studio. Barrister, as it stands, Benin Republic jails over 30 individuals, particularly in the failed coup in that country. What do you make of this story, Barrister?
If they lie, let them jail the whole country. It will not solve the problem.
What is the problem from your perspective?
The problem is political rascality of the politicians in all strata of African states. This political rascality is one too many. How do you always want to? What are you changing the constitution for? I'm not sure of what I will do if I'm in that country. Seriously. How can you enter office all of a sudden? You now think that the place belongs to you. You must remain there forever and ever. I mean, how does that sound? If you leave the constitution as we made it and then rule and go away, what will happen? American presidents, as powerful as they are, have they even thought of such an idea? I mean, have they ever even tried it, not to talk of doing it alone? Have they? Yet, you poor countries in Africa, the only business you are doing is politics. You want to remain in office. It's not as if you are even contributing anything meaningful to your country. You just want to stay there and be enjoying the largesse of office. Abi, is there any other thing? Nothing. You are not contributing you are not helping even the country. Look at Paul Biya. With all these years in Cameroon, what has happened to Cameroon? Is the Cameroon economy near that of South Africa? I mean, near, close to it. What has he done for his years in office? What? These are things that worry people now. If you are doing something meaningful, you can say, okay, maybe this man have a good intention. But you are not. At 92, going to 90, you are telling me that your best is yet to come. Is that not deceit? I'm talking of a man who is, I don't know whether he's literally on which year, and his speech is not audible. And yet you are telling me your best is yet to come. Keep your best to yourself. I don't want it.
Well, Barrister, some would say that country, Cameroon, clearly, the people also should understand better when it comes to their electionary period.
They are using juju. You know, when people are being hypnotized, they won't even know. All these African leaders, they don't do this in ordinarily.
Barrister, when you say someone is being hypnotized, is that even attainable anywhere?
You can hypnotize an entire country. Didn't you see what happened in the Bible? Where this bad Jesus, yes, he took a whole region into bondage, including the pro-cancer, until Paul and Silas came and destroyed the jars on the people. Or you didn't read that story? One man called by Jesus. Yes, he took an entire region, that we are talking of an entire state. They will go and do this thing with the occult and the witches and wizards and say, look, in this country, it belongs to me. Nobody will talk or challenge me.
Well, Barrister,
one man did it in Nigeria. I don't even know whether that's what you're hunting us. You have not read the story, Abi. That Abacha employed the worst of them all in Africa. The worst of all of them in Africa. And he gave them a plane craft to go to the perimeters of Nigeria and offer sacrifices to keep people in bondage so that he will remain president for life. You didn't hear that story, Abi? When he was told in Nassau Rock. These are part of the things they do when they want to remain in office. And that's why they never do well. Because Satan can never allow you to progress as long as you are with him. Satan never likes anything good. So when you are with him, be sure that your government will not work, because your government is sustained by Satan. And Satan doesn't want progress.
Well, Barrister, let's look into the investor optics of the situation in Benin Republic. As we speak right now, several commercial hubs have quickly returned, and of course, normalcy has returned across some commercial hubs. In fact, the down Tokma market have returned back into normalcy. Business is going on. Is there a possibility that there would be some investor confidence in that axis and that region as well because of these kind of arrests that have been made recently?
The only investment I will see is buying and selling, nothing else. No serious businessman is coming there. With what?
You think there can't be any level of FDI in that country?
I said it's buying and selling. Has it come before, or is it today that the thing will not come? No, tell me, has it come before? Investors are looking at where there is something to invest on. What does the Republic of Benin have? What do they have? Tell me. So you can see. The only thing that will come now, maybe my Igbo brothers will now go there and be doing their business of buying and selling. Is there any other thing that will come in there? Nothing. That is the only thing, nothing else, nothing.
Well, again, Barrister, the concerns are being raised about the fact that Lagos has this very closeness with Benin Republic. You think that can also impact on the fact that, yes, the situation have been quelled? I'm talking about the coup that have been fought. Would you think that would do more on the part of business for the...
Yes. The business is buying and selling. Because most of them come to Lagos there to buy from wholesalers here and then go back to the Republic of Benin. Is there any other thing? The economy of Nigeria and Lagos is sustaining some of these small countries around. So that's the only investment I can talk of. Apart from that, nothing.
All right, then, Barrister, before I let you go, concerns also are being raised about the situation in South Africa where young South Africans were being tricked to join in Russian machineries and are being put on the front line. From your perspective, Barrister, this again allegedly was orchestrated by the daughter of the former president, Jacob Zuma. And the South African government are in talks right now with the Russian government to returning these people back home. What do you make of these kind of stories, Barrister?
No, you see, if they are doing that for economic reasons, I don't think anybody is being coerced here because those young men, they are adults. How can they trick you into going into Russian military? Wouldn't they give you a gun? Wouldn't they tell you what you are going to do? At that point, it's left for you to say no or yes. So what is it trick you for what? At that point, you can say you are not doing. But if you are doing it willingly because of economy, why not?
Well, the tricky part of it is that the false promise of either undergoing training as a bodyguard for Zuma's political party or participating in the personal development program.
Whatever the seat, at the end of the day, you will be deployed to the war front to fight. Is that not true? At that point, you now know that, yes, this is not what they told me. You can now reject it.
Does bodyguard for a political party?
Whatever it is for, you are an adult. You have your thinking faculties intact. If they are playing pranks on you, it will get to the point of saying, look, we want you to go and fight in Ukraine. You will not say, well, for what? That's not what I was told. It is either you not say no or you say yes. So at that point, you cannot say, no, I'm not doing it. You go back to your country. So even if they are tricking you, it is you that allow yourself to be tricked. Yes, you allow yourself to be tricked. At a point of going into the war front, you can say, no, this is not what they told me, I'm not doing. You come back. It is when they refuse now that you now say, okay, you are being conscripted against your will. You cannot raise the alarm. People will not come to your rescue. That's the way I look at it.
All right, then, Barrister, in one sentence or maybe 30 seconds before I let you go, Burundian Foreign Minister Edward Bazimana has dismissed the claim by the M23 rebel group leader that said that his troops, I'm talking about the M23 guys, are withdrawing from Uvira. He's saying that nobody should believe that lie from the leader of the M23 rebels. You think that is anything to hold on to? Owing to the fact that he also did say that the leader of the M23 rebels is saying that because there is a statement from Washington that whoever breaches that peace pact will be dealt with. You think that basically is the reason why the M23 is speaking at this time?
They may deceive everybody, but they will not deceive Americans. I am sure when this report gets to Donald Trump, we will find out who is the culprit here. I am telling you, up to tomorrow, I am not comfortable that a rebel group is giving a government this headache. Up to tomorrow.
Even after the peace deal.
I am telling you, David, how do you explain it? As a leader of a country, how do you explain that rebel? What are they even fighting for? What do they want? Can rebel form a government in another person's country? Where is the position of M23 rebels in the DRC? Do they have they divided DRC and take one part? Or I don't understand.
And to think that they've taken over about 4 cities in the DRC.
I'm telling you. Yet AU is there. AU is there. They are seeing what is going on. Nobody can rat out this rebel group until they spread and become a force to reckon with in Africa. They will become a rebel group. I mean, yes, now a mercenary group that you can hire. Yes, any government can hire them to do their dirty job. That is where it's going to land us now if we are not careful with these people.
What unfortunate, really.
When Alice Lakwena formed this group, the woman is now late. But the evil she planted in them is still spreading like wildfire. Instead of Africa like to rat out this because of the menace they are causing, they were just looking at it. You think it's only DRC. It will get to you too. You see, they have started with Burundi, Abi, and all the neighboring states in DRC. They are going to hear it if they are not careful. And then Paul Kagame, your atrocities during the Rwanda genocide is still there. Don't think that because you are president, therefore, no, it's still there. It's still there if you are not careful.
All right, then. Well, this is where we have to draw anchor on the analysis segment of the African News. We've been talking with Barrister Darlington Agumo, who is a legal practitioner right here in Nigeria and a public and political affairs analyst and commentator. Once again, thank you so very much, Barrister, for being here.
It's my pleasure.
We'll take a very short break right now. When we return, more stories on the African News will be up next. Please do stay with us. Glad to have you back. It is still the African News right here on Voice of the People Television. Now to more stories. Moroccan authorities have rolled out a nationwide emergency aid to help tens of thousands of families affected by freezing temperatures, heavy rain, and snow this winter. This comes as flash floods following torrential rain killed 37 persons in the coastal province of Safi on Sunday, damaging some 70 homes and shops in the Old Town and sweeping away cars and cutting roads. According to the authorities, the relief operation will target 28 provinces affected by freezing temperatures, snow, and rainfall, with food supplies and blankets to be distributed to around 73,000 households. A red alert was issued on Tuesday for snowfall of up to 31 inches in the high Atlas Mountains, and an orange alert was issued for rainfall of up to 50 millimeters across most of central and northern regions. In the mountains of Accuses, about 500 kilometers southeast of the capital Rabat, snow has reached a depth of 50 centimeters and temperatures have dropped below zero at night. Morocco is experiencing heavy rain and snowfall after 7 years of drought that emptied some of its main reservoirs. Moving on, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia on a two-day official visit aimed at strengthening bilateral ties and enhancing India's engagement with the African continent. It was Modi's first ever visit to Ethiopia, where he is expected to have high-level meetings and address a joint session of the Ethiopian Parliament. A statement from the Ethiopian government communications office noted that the relationship between the two nations was expected to usher the Africa-India relationship to a higher stage. The statement added that the visit confirmed Ethiopia's position as a major diplomatic hub for the African continent and that the talks were intended to strengthen cooperation and jointly amplify the voice of the Global South. Welcoming his counterpart, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed affirmed that the visit underscored the growing ties between the two countries as he looked forward to meaningful agreements that will further deepen their cooperation across shared priorities. And from that story, we go straight to talking some African business stories. Informed sources say Guinea is in talks with Emirates Global Aluminium, that's EGA, over a possible bauxite supply agreement that would see the company source the aluminium feedstock from Guinea's state-owned Nimba Mining. Guinea's military-led government revoked the license of EGA subsidiary, Guinea Alumina Corporation, in July following a year-long dispute over the construction of an alumni refinery. It then handed its mining assets over to Nimba Mining. However, the sources, who include a government official, said a supply deal could potentially avert the legal action that EGA has threatened over the siege, adding that discussions were ongoing and going well, and it is to avoid litigation. Nimba Mining said it was not part of the talks and had no information. EGA, equally owned by Abu Dhabi's Mubadala and Dubai's Investment Corporation, is the world's largest premium aluminium producer. And from that business story, we go straight wrapping up with some sports stories. Senegal's fullback, Ale Kamara, has been ruled out of the African Cup of Nations AFCON finals opening in Morocco on December the 22nd due to injury. The country's football federation has said this in a statement. There is also concerns over striker Sane Diao, who suffered an injury playing for Como against AS Roma in Syria on Monday. Como's coach, Cesc Fabregas, said he had asked Senegal not to select the 20-year-old for the tourney, where they are in Group D with Benin Republic, Botswana, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Senegal's first game is against Botswana in Tanger next Tuesday. Still on injuries, Gabon's veteran striker, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, will miss the country's AFCON opening match next week to a thigh injury, but is expected to recover for their next two Group F games. The 36-year-old, along with his country's talisman, was forced off with an injury as Olympique Marseille beats AS Monaco in Ligue 1 on Sunday. The Gabonese Football Federation said he was staying in France for treatment as requested by Marseille's medical staff before joining up with the squad. Still talking sports, World Cup organizers have unveiled a new cut price tickets category after a backlash by fans over pricing for the 2026 tournament in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. In a statement, football's global governing body, FIFA, said it had created a limited number of supporter entry tier fixed at $60 for all 104 matches, including the final. According to FIFA, the plan was designed to further support traveling fans following the national teams across the tournament. However, the fan group Football Supporters Europe, which last week called the price extortionate and astronomical, said FIFA was still offering too little, with the World Cup organizers having promised tickets priced from $21 in a bid document released in 2018. And with that sports story, we've come to the end of African News right here on Voice of the People Television. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we're at Voice of the People TV, and on all other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Thank you so very much for being a part of this broadcast. I am David Edwin. Do have a good afternoon.
Do you want your voice to be heard? Do you know that you matter in the scheme of things? The People's Voice, the show where ordinary citizens take center stage as we discuss the biggest stories that affect you and I. With you in mind, we facilitate lively discussions, debates, and interviews on the topics that matter most to you and I. From social justice to economic empowerment, education to healthcare, governance, and more. Tackling tough topics and amplifying your voice. Join the conversation and make your voice count. The People's Voice. Make your voice count.
2564 is coming up on running 9 right. 2564 Atlantic Tower.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
Good evening, Africa. My name is Bamakore, actor, model, producer, and I'm giving a big shout out to VOP TV, man. Keep watching. Don't change the dial. Thank you and God bless you.
My name is AY, and of course, I represent the voice of the people, and that's why I'm on VOP. AY say so.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Miriam Tima from the Real Housewives of Lagos and the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Africa. Shout out to VOP, the voice of the people. You already know. Stay tuned, keep watching. And don't forget, VOP is